Ladies and gentlemen, he hails from Southern California. He's one of the leaders of the company, does a fantastic training. I like how he relates it to sports sometimes because I can relate to some of the stuff. And he just breaks it down. He tells it like it is, and he calls it like he sees it. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to none other than the Rams' favorite player that we love to death, Mr. Greg Williamson.
Well, Mr. Thomas, I just want to say I appreciate you. Missed you last week. We held down the fort. Sensational Sharon Young did a great job in bringing me aboard. I'm telling you, that made my day. I was floating on the clouds. So I appreciate what she did. And, everybody stepped up and you were truly missed, Mr. Thomas. And, I appreciate everything that you do for our group and, what we have, it's just really a true blessing. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the call. Last week I talked about leadership and duplication, and I always talk about duplication because if you want to build something big, you're going to have to learn how to duplicate yourself. You're not going to be a one person army and then, be, a senior vice president. That probably won't happen. So you're definitely going to have to duplicate yourself. And a lot of people, don't get to where they want to go because they don't know how to duplicate themselves. They don't know how to train somebody to find, to actually go out and find and develop leaders. And that's what we talked about last week. We talked about how to find and develop leaders. And so what I like to do is I like to answer questions that maybe you have, but you never went to you didn't know how to ask or where to ask for it. And so a lot of people they wonder why do a lot of people fail in network marketing. A lot of times when you're sitting down with someone and you're showing them this opportunity, they come up with a negative concept because they don't understand that this is something that can really benefit everybody. But a lot of people they fail because they go into a trap. And so I'm going to go over how you can avoid that trap and not fall into it. And if you got new people that get started, you can show them not how to avoid that trap into falling in to failing in network marketing because everybody on this call can move from left to right. It doesn't matter, if you're tall, short, it doesn't matter. If you have a work ethic and you're coachable and you're trainable, you can actually move mountains in this business. And so most people fail in network marketing because they fall into a common pitfall that can be avoided with the right mindset and approach. So here's how you can steer clear with this. And so I have a new guy that got started in my business, and this young man is so energetic. A lot of times, with young people, they kind of, they want things done fast. They want a microwave. They want to, just, this we're in an instant world where they want to get in and have it all right there. And it takes to roll up your sleeves and do the work in order to have to be successful. So, I got this young man in my business. I am so grateful and proud to be able to coach and mentor this young man. And I sat down with him and I was like, hey, look, if you want to build something big, this is what you're going to have to do. Is that for one, you're going to have to develop your reason why. Your reason why has to be huge. So if you write this down, a lot of people they fail because of a lack of a clear why. Their reason why is not big, and that's the reason why they fail. So when things get hard, or they get hit in the face, or they get tackled, for a second down, they don't want to go out there for the third down because they're like, you know what, this don't work. I'm done. I'm gonna take my ball and run. And so they don't have a clear reason why. You see, if someone's reason why was strong, they would be able to get back up and go back into the huddle as we talk about in football and run another play. And so to have a clear why is huge. Many people jump into network marketing without a strong personal reason or motivation. Their reason why. And it's the fuel that keeps you going through the highs and the lows. It's what's going to get you up. It's what's going to get you going. Without that, it's easy to lose momentum. If you don't have a reason why, you're going to lose momentum. So you got to determine your reason why clearly. This young man, when I sat down with him, I said, hey, what is your reason why? And he's very uh, blessed musically. And so, he's very gifted, but it takes money to actually propel his gift, and he wants to use this to build him, to actually help him with his music career. And he said he would do whatever he can, to make that happen. So his reason why is huge. See, when your reason why is strong, then the how to becomes easy. So I'm going to just back away just for a second. So I have three dogs, and one of my dogs is a male dog. He's about 12 years old, pit bull. And so he's up there in age. So I have an upstairs, downstairs house, and it's hard for him to get upstairs. Once he comes down, he doesn't want to come back up because his joints hurt. It's tough for him. But when I have a treat in my hand, if I have something tangible that he really wants, he gets up that stair. He gets up those stairs pretty quickly because his reason why is huge. His reason why is I need to get upstairs so I can get that treat. And I want to get that treat. So he gets up, he moves a little faster because his reason why is at the top of the stairs. And so when you have your reason why, everything else becomes simple. Now, another thing, when I sat down with this young man, I said, "Hey, look, the first thing we're going to do is, I talked about this once before, is to have a business plan. You got to have something written down." I said, "So we're going to take your launch sheet. We're going to sit it down, and we're going to write down. The first thing is we're going to write down your reason why, and then we're going to actually go off a worksheet." Now, any successful business has a business plan, Miss Sensational Sharon. Any business, any teacher, will have a lesson plan. Mr. Rick Kubiak is that so in any builder of a home is going to have a blueprint, or any type of business, they're going to have a blueprint. So why would you treat this differently and not have a launch sheet, have a business plan, something to go off of, something that you can see as tangible? I think one of my trainings, I had an RD chart, and I had an ETL chart, and I had these charts to watch yourself grow. And so you definitely want to have a business plan. So starting off without a business plan is like setting sail without a map. I'm gonna say that again. Starting without a business plan is like setting sail without a map, Sam Foster. You need a clear strategy outlining your goals and steps and timelines. Treat network marketing like any other business. Even like in football, when we had football, when we practiced, we had a game plan. It was, and we went off that game plan for that week, because that way we knew the tendencies of our opponents. So you want to have something in place. So when I sat down with that young man, Miss Terrio, I said, "Hey, look, you got to have a game plan, because without a game plan, without vision, you will perish. The people will perish," and that's written. And so then third is inconsistency and impatient. Like I said before, a lot of people, especially in today's world, they want things, done right away. Mr. Buddy Lee, people want things done right away, and so they're impatient. They don't get that bonus in the first week. They're done, and you got to let people know that, hey, look, this is long term. This is something for the long haul. If you don't get the results that you want in your first 30 days, that's not a time to quit. That's the time to really dig deep, because we're about to build something big, and that's called residual income. And you want to get some of that, because that right there can do a lot of things for you. See, for me, residual income is helping me get time freedom. And so you want to make sure that people understand that they're in it for the long haul, because this is what I know, Miss Maria Estrada, is that inconsistency and impatient, this is where success doesn't happen overnight, and many people get excited initially, but they lose their steam. Have you ever worked with anybody who they got started and they lost their steam? They were excited in day one, but by day five, you can't hear them anymore. You don't see them because they lost their steam. The reason why wasn't big. So you want to make sure that that person commits to daily actions. If that's you, you want to make sure that you commit to daily actions that will move your business forward and keep you patient with the process. Now, number four is overemphasizing on recruiting. A lot of people, ACN is a customer acquisition company. So if we don't go out, you can recruit everybody on this call, and you go out and you recruit everybody, you get everybody get started, but nobody gets customers. You're not going to earn any money, and we're in this business to earn residual income. So the thing about it is this is a numbers game. And all you want to do is you want to make sure that you get enough people. And that's what I told this young man is, look, we want to get people, we want to get eyeballs on the information. We want to get ears so they can hear. Because it's not just uh, just getting the numbers, which you want to go by the numbers, but you got to know that you got to have customers. So when you actually we show this to people, some people will become a customer, some people will join you in business, and both of them are great. And so that's why you want to get as many people as possible. So you want to balance your effort between recruiting and then also know the services that we have entailed. And we got some phenomenal services and some phenomenal services coming on board. Now, number five is this is a big one right here, is failure to use systems and tools. See, ACN has a system that's been in place for 32 years. A lot of people, I had a gentleman who got started in my business, and this is what he said. He said, "Hey, Greg, look, I'm a self-starter. I don't need any help. I don't need nobody to help me. I don't need to get on any calls. I don't need to do any of that. I just, I've done these things before, and I'm good. You don't have to, I can do it myself. I can become successful by myself. I don't need anything." How much, how far do you think that person went in this business? Not far at all. Not far at all. Because see, the thing about it is, see, that's just like, you're trying to carry bricks uphill and you don't have to when you have a lift that's already can help you carry those bricks uphill. So you want to make sure that you follow a system. The ACN has a proven system. Whatever group that you're in has a proven system that's already, going, that they have built leaders on top of leaders on top of leaders. And all you got to do is follow the system. See, network marketing companies provide systems and tools for a reason, and that's for so people can win, just like with ACN. And you can make your journey easier by doing that. I think I had showed something once before, and everybody was holding they were holding the wheelbarrow and they were going through. And when people start following the system, that wheelbarrow start to move faster and faster. So just learn the system, and you want to teach everybody that comes into your business, show them the system. If you're brand new on this call, just know that there's a system in place that you don't have to go out and figure out. And then this ties, number six ties into number five. It's a lack of coaching or mentoring. Everybody needs a coach or a mentor. See, even Mr. Thomas is as successful as he is in life. He has a coach. He has a mentor. Everybody, if you want to be successful, grab onto a coach and a mentor. Trying to do this alone doesn't work. Trying to be a secret agent, trying to be somebody who, I'll just figure it out on myself, on my own. I don't need anybody's help. That right there will will propel you to a loss. Even Michael Jordan, who was in my opinion, one of the greatest basketball players out there. He had a coach. He relied on Mr. Phil Jackson, and so everybody has a coach. If they wanted to call that person the goat, that goat has a coach. So doing this alone is no good. Don't rely solely on your upline. If your upline is not trying to help you take you where you want to go, find somebody who will. Somebody who that you can look up to. Somebody that you can run with. Find somebody who truly understands your potential and they help you unlock it. And number six, this is something that's really huge, is that people quit too soon. People say they throw in the towel, and we talked about that. 30-day, they're done after a certain amount of days. This is what something that was told to me when I first got started, and it was, Greg, when you make a decision, put a hedge of protection. See, I used to work in a prison, so I understood, putting fortress around something. And so that's what you want to do with your decision. on your decision getting started, you want to put a fortress around your decision, because there are going to be people that's out there that's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people that's out there that's going to try to stop you from what you're doing. You know, you're telling yourself, hey, I'm gonna move from left to right. But then your broke cousin is coming up to you and saying, hey man, you never done anything in your life, you never will, you know, I don't know why you're doing this. And some people, they listen to that, and next thing you know, they're out. Don't be that type of person. You want to make sure that you avoid those traps. Yep. Sam Foster said, "Don't quit. Don't quit. You know, quitters never win, and winners never quit. And that's just true. That's law. So just avoid the traps. Focus on building a strong foundation. Develop your clear why. Create a solid business plan and commit to consistent action. You do that, you're going to use the tools and the system that's already available to help you seek the mentorship, and also stay patient. If you do those things, you'll start to have success in ACN. And so by doing so, you're going to set yourself up for long-term success, because that's what we're in for. We're in this for long-term success. You're in this because you want to build something really big. You know, one thing I do when I get somebody started, I always sit them down and I want to find out, why are they doing this? What they're going to do with the money that they earn? What is it that they really want? You know, and I sit down with each and every person because I want to know that. You know, what is it? And then I make their why, my why. I incorporate that in what I do because I want to make sure I help that person get what they want. See, if you do that as a leader, and then you'll get everything that you want. So another question that a lot of people have, people want to know, they're brand new and they say something like, Greg, what are the three income producing activities that I should do daily? What is it that I should do that's going to help me build my business? And it comes down to this. If you want to have a daily producing income activity, you want to make sure that, of course, we're in the people business. Is that you want to connect with people. The more people that you connect with, see, our inventory is people. When I had my sports merchandise store, my inventory was the merchandise that was up on the wall, and that was my inventory. And I had to make sure I had kept that inventory up, weekly. Because if I didn't, and someone came into the store and they wanted a certain thing and I didn't have it, they're going to go somewhere else. So I had to make sure I keep my inventory up. But that's no different with this. See, our inventory is people. So you want to make sure that you build your list of prospects and your connection. Miss Roxanne Corlejo who did a phenomenal job yesterday, and that's what she talked about. She talked about prospecting and connecting with people, and she talked about the type of business card that you need when you're out there meeting with people. So you can meet people in different ways through social media. There's networking events that's out there, or even referrals, because a lot of times it's all about who do you know. Maybe that person may not want to do it, but ask that person, hey, look, if this is not for you, who do you know that's somebody who is a go-getter? And then a lot of people know somebody who's like that, and they start giving you names. And so that's how you can just daily activity is just always be out there prospecting. Someone who is really great at that is Mr. Thomas. I got a chance to spend a day with him and watch him go out and prospect, and it was phenomenal. I learned so much on. He just went out and just met people, and just sometimes just giving somebody a compliment throughout the day, people don't hear that, and that just lightens up their spirit. So um, you know don't be willing to go out and just speak to people. That's our inventory that's out there. Number two is presentations and follow up. See, presentations is huge. We have presentations, all through the week. Mr. Thomas has one on Tuesday. That's phenomenal. And folks, you get your person on that call, they're going to get started in your business. And so presentations is huge. You want to make sure that you have those on the books. You want to make sure that your calendar is full of presentations. See, the more eyeballs that you have people that to see this information is the more that your business will move from left to right. And then this is the biggest thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the fortune is in the follow-up. See, you can meet somebody on Monday, but if you don't follow back up with them, ever, they're going to be wondering, hey, well, what happened? And, then they may not follow up back with you. Things, life might have happened with them. So you want to make sure that you follow up, because that's where the fortune is at. You never know. You follow and say, hey, look, I was just thinking about you, and I know we had that talk, and I just wanted to see, how you doing, and what are your thoughts? And I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah, you know what, man, this is something I was thinking about doing. I'm ready to get started. So you never know, by you following up, where that's going to take you. Share your opportunity and in your service, but don't stop there. Follow up, and where you turn, excuse me, hold on. But don't stop there, is where you turn interest into, it becomes commitment. So be persistent, be consistent, because that's what lights the fire. You take a magnifying glass onto a piece of paper, and you hold that down long enough, you're going to start catching a fire. So you want to be consistent in what you do, and your follow-ups will convert into prospects and into partners or into customers. And and this is, I've always talked about this almost in every call, is training and duplication. That is so huge. Is that once you bring somebody on board, see, what we do is we find and develop leaders. We help and nurture, but what we're really looking for is leaders. See, that's what you want to build your business on, is leaders on top of leaders on top of leaders on top of leaders. Can you imagine? And I watched this the other day. But can you imagine you're sitting back at an Elevate event, and you're back there, Jed, and you're at this Elevate event, and you have a whole team there, and you have people that's getting promoted, and you have somebody that's on your team that's up there on stage, that's training thousands of people, training all of us on how they got to their position, and how they and how they got to where they're at, and what we need to do. But that person's on your team, because you got layers and layers of leaders. See, that's something that I know one day that's going to happen in my business. See, I hope that you sit there and you say the same thing. Is that I know one day that's going to happen in my business, because I'm teaching duplication. And that's what you want to do, is you want to duplicate yourself over and over and over. You want to develop leaders. uh, Invest time in coaching your team members. You want to put time into them, help them set up goals. You should always be goal oriented with your team members, finding out what they want, because that is going to be so huge. Sometimes sitting back just talking about their goals, and then that helps them crystallize their thinking, like, oh yeah, man, I never thought about doing this. Yeah, and then they write it down. So you want to make sure that sit down, have time with your team. As you're starting to grow your team, sit down with your team members and actually have goal setting meetings. Have goal setting. Have vision. Create vision. Whatever they want, create a vision for what they want, and make it big, so that way they can see it. I think Roxanne said this the other day, is that a lot of people, they get to a certain point in life, and they don't think they can get any further until somebody might tell them, say, hey, look, I see something big in you. And they say, oh, you do? Because they only saw themselves at a certain level. So you want to make sure that you're that person that's seeing something that's bigger for people. So, look, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, is that if you focus on those three activities, you focus on that, you're going to have some success. Just those are your daily activities. If you focus on those three daily activities, you're going to start having success, because before, like I said, this is nothing but a numbers game. You're not working hard, you're working smart. And that's what we always want to do. See, this is something that I learned in football, and actually I learned it here in ACN, is the KISS theory, is to keep it super simple. That's all you got to do. You don't have to make things clouded and all that. Just keep it super simple. And when you do that, you're going to have success. So keep it simple, stay consistent, and then from that, you're going to watch yourself move from left to right, and we're going to be hearing you from the front of the stage, telling us how you got to where you are, because you followed these simple steps, and you built leadership and duplication. So with that being said, Mr. Thomas, that is what I have today. Um, Let's go out there and let's win the day. Let's go out there and win this fourth quarter. Let's go out there and finish something that we started. We started something at the beginning of this year, and let's go ahead and finish off strong, because what that's going to do is bring something really huge in 2026 when we bring in these new services and we start growing our business. So with that being said, Mr. Thomas, that thank you for the time that you have given me this morning.